YouTube, what's happening? It is Sunday. There are 15 games in baseball to talk about. But first, drop a subscribe because we have hit 4 straight days of profit. Yesterday, 7-4 record, 5.7 units back in the bankroll. For the last 7 days, just a week, we've hit over 18 units of profit. The statistical based data has been killing it recently, so we want to keep up that trend. So there are 15 games to talk about. Most of them start in the daytime, so we need to jump into it. Let's get it. Our first game, we got the Red Sox and the Cardinals. We got Pivetta and his 3.48 going up against Liberatore and his 4.56 ERA. On the betting markets, we have the Red Sox as a slight favorite right now at -115. Over unders 8.5 with a little bit of juice on the under. The number one thing I'm looking at here is stats. Currently, Boston is on a 4-game losing streak. St. Louis has won 2 in a row. If you look at the averages, it's crazy. St. Louis is number 1 in the majors over the last week when it comes to batting average, and it's not even close. They're batting .320 as a team over 6 games. That's wild. OBS is 402, slugging 489. They've had 70 hits, 40 runs, and they're just still trending up. They're not even trending down yet. So we're going to keep riding the bats because there's one thing we do in baseball that baseball is better than any other sport. It's trends. Trends tend to ride out longer than any sport because you play back to back to back to back days. So in this one, we're going to keep riding St. Louis. Pivetta's good numbers, 22-2 K to walk ratio, 3.48 is not bad, 102 whip is average. We'd like to see those, but St. Louis bats are too hot. I'd be shocked if all of a sudden they just went ice cold all of a sudden. It tends to do that. So on the flip side, we need to see what can Boston do. They're 19th in average right now, 236. They have 27 runs over 7 games, which, right at 4 runs a game. So between these two, over looks like a strong possibility. With it being 8.5 with some plus money on the over, I'm going to lean that. We're going to take over 8.5 in this one for sure. And in this one, since I'm getting St. Louis at -105 right now, I'm going to take St. Louis in the money line as well. Moving on to the next one. All right, second game, we got the White Sox and the Yankees. We got Flexen with a 4.46 ERA against Rodon with his 3.31 ERA. Currently in the betting markets, we have the Yankees as a -325. Oof, that's heavy. Over unders 8.5 at a -130, and the run line is sitting at 2.5. That's pretty high as well. This one, Yankees are batting .300 as a team over 6 games. That is insane to say. Chicago, or the White Sox, are 233, which isn't bad for them. They're doing better than usual. They're about 20th right now with last week, but the Yankees are just on fire. They're both, they're averaging 5.6 runs a game currently. Chicago's averaging 2. They've scored 12 runs in 6 games. Terrible. They can get barely dudes on base, and then when they do, they don't get them home. The Yankees crushing it right now. This one, I'm looking at certain things. I don't know if I don't like that over under. I just don't like it. 8.5. The Yankees could drop a 12 spot. This could be a 4-0 win. It could be. We don't know what's going to happen. Yankees are going to go into a money line parlay. That's a fact. I can't see them losing this game. Even Rodon's the better pitcher here. They got the better bats. They're on fire right now. We take the hot team to win. But they'll beat a parlay. I'm not going to put something on it by itself. I'm not touching -2.5. That's crazy. I'm not doing that. So we'll take Yankees, money line parlay, and move on to the next game. Our next game, we got the Mariners and the Orioles. We got Kirby with his 3.58 against Burns with his 2.68. Currently in the betting markets, we have the Orioles as a -150 favorite on the money line, and total is 7.5 with some heavy juice on the under at 135. Seattle's won a game in a row. Baltimore's lost 1 game in a row. Looking at the Nerfy percent, we're not seeing much here. 49%, not looking good for a Nerfy. Over the last 7 games, or last 7 days, Seattle's getting about 4.3 runs a game. Baltimore, 3.8 runs a game. Both teams batting. Seattle's batting .260, which is, I think, about 10th in the league. Baltimore struggling. They're at .211. Neither team is really doing that well. Both of these games, both pitchers are good. I would lean the under. I can't really predict who's going to win this one. I would lean Baltimore in this one, but other than that, this is one of those ones I just don't get a really good feel for. I'm just going to pass on this one as well and move on to the next one. You ever look at a bet and just realize that something doesn't add up and just you get a feeling about a game? That's what I have in this game. Washington and Philly. Williams at a 1.94, Nolo at a 3.10. It's a pretty good pitching matchup. Yeah, not gonna lie. On the betting side, Philly is 250 money line, over under 7.5 with some juice on the under. And we think, why is that? Well, both teams' bats are ice cold right now. Washington is 192 average as a team over the last week. Philly is 213 as a team over the last week. Both teams are struggling to get dudes on base. Only difference is Philly has somehow gotten dudes across the plate. They have a 5.43 runs per game over the last week, even though they're only batting 213. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't add up. On the other side, Washington, 2.1 runs. That does add up. This is one of those games that feels fishy. It feels weird. To me, Philly should have lost last night. They had the game-tying home run in the ninth. Washington probably should have won that one. This feels like a game Washington can win. I'm not going to bet them. I will no, can't do that. The stats, nothing in the stats tell me to bet this. The only thing I see is Trevor Williams with that 194 over 41 innings. Something tells me he's going to go out there and ball out and do like 7 scoreless innings. It could happen. Or he could go out and be rocked and give up like 8 runs in 3 innings. Either way. This is one of those I'm going to sit back and watch. I'm not even going to put Philly in the moneyline parlay. I'm leaving them out of everything because I just have a weird feeling based on the way the stats are lining up. Something fishy is going to happen in this game. So pass. Move on to the next one. Happy Alex Manoah Day to everyone who celebrates. We got the Rays and the Blue Jays. The Valley with a 5.83 against Manoah with his 4.91, 11 innings pitch. On the betting market is a pick'em on the money line. They don't know who's going to win. Neither do we. Nobody knows. Over unders 8.5 with some heavy juice on the under of all things. Looking at the model, we have Tampa Bay has won 4 in a row. Toronto's lost 3 in a row. Nerfy percents at 57, not high enough to really bet on a Nerfy yet. We want to see that closer around 65, 70 before you even think about it. Batting wise, Tampa Bay has scored 5 runs a game over the last week. Toronto's only scored 2.6. Right there, we automatically start leaning Tampa Bay. Average wise, Tampa is batting 242 as a team. Toronto is 179. They are struggling. Only thing is Tampa Bay is striking out a lot. So they are striking out 10.5 average per game over the last week. So somehow they're getting runs, but they're swinging at everything. So that's good for Manoah if you want to take his strikeouts, because the dude will give up runs, but we know he's going to strike out like 8 people while he gives up 8 runs. This is what he does. You're going to take the good with the bad. So might look at a Manoah strikeout prop today. That might be a good one to look at. Other than that, over under 8.5, not touching it. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. I do, however, like Tampa Bay in this one on the money line. Manoah might try people out, but he's going to give up runs. We know he will. He had a good game last game. Manoah doesn't have 2 good games in a row. Unless he all of a sudden has revamped himself and became just a beast all of a sudden again. No, he's still got the yips. I think he does. So we're going to take Tampa Bay on the money line here since it's just minus 110 and move on to the next game. All right, we got the Twins and the Guardians. We got Paddock with his 4.89 against BB and his 4.34. Betting markets have Guardians as a minus 120 favorite with the over-under 7.5, and that is a pick 'em either way. So looking at the stats here, we got Minnesota's on a 5-game losing streak. Cleveland's won 2 in a row. Nerfy percents at 58.7 for me. I'm not feeling that one. Minnesota has scored 2 runs a game per game over the last week, while Cleveland has scored 5.8. They have been putting dudes across the base. We like to see that. Averages wise, we have Minnesota at a 0.176. They could not get on base. Cleveland's batting 259. Pretty good. We like to see that right there. We're already leaning Cleveland right there based on the pitching matchup. Is about even. Over under 7.5. When one team is struggling, we don't want to look at the over, but with this side, we're going to take Cleveland on the money line at minus 120 and move on to the next one. All right, we got the Mets and the Marlins. We got Manaea with his 3.05 and Sanchez with his 5.96 ERA. On the betting side, currently we are sitting at Mets at minus 145, over under 8.5. No juice either side. Pick them either way on that one. Stats wise, Mets have lost 2 in a row. Miami has won 4 games in a row. I said it yesterday, don't let them get hot. And what are they doing? 4 in a row. They're getting hot. And this one, Nerfy percent 43, not liking that. The Mets have scored 4 runs a game over the last week, and Miami has scored 5.5 runs a game over the last week. That's going to get you some wins right there. Batting wise, the Mets are batting 238, about average, a little low on the lower side. Miami's batting 261. They got rid of the best hitter in the majors, probably average wise, and all of a sudden they started getting better. Who knew? This one, not really liking the slide on this one. Both pitching matchup, it leans the Mets, but nothing really stands out. But the statistics favor the Marlins. I don't like either side. I just can't bet the Marlins yet. I got to see more data on this one. This one's going to be a pass on all sides. All right, next up, we got the Brewers and the Astros. We got Colin Ray, his 3.45 going up against Arrigetti Spaghetti in his 7.52. It's gotten better since last game. He was in the 8s, but he's dropping a little bit. Currently, betting world, we have the Astros the 135 favorite, over under 8.5 with some heavy juice on the over. We'll see why it says that. On the betting side, Milwaukee's won a game in one game. Houston's lost a game in a row. Nerfy percent 48. Don't like that. The thing is, both these teams are both scoring 5+ runs a game, so the over is definitely in play in this one. Averages wise, we have Milwaukee at 275 and Houston at 292, both in the top half of the league when it comes to batting. They're putting bats on balls and they're getting dudes across the plate. And we got two pitchers with some decent ERAs. Combined, these are over 10. That checks off one of my normal rules. Spaghetti, we know is going to give up some runs. Ray, 3.45, he gives up some runs. This game could easily be 6-4 pretty quickly. I'm going to take the over 8.5 at -130. I might even wait till 9.5 and get better juice. We know it's going to move up, so we're going to take the over. Side-wise, I'm not leaning inside on either one. If anything, I'm leaning Milwaukee because of Arrigetti's pitching. So we'll lean Houston on the money line, but we're definitely going to take the over in this one. All right, next up, we got Oakland and Kansas City. We got JP Sears at his 3.96 ERA going up against Singer with his 2.84 ERA. Currently, betting side, we have the Royals as a -175 on the money line, over under 8.5 with some heavy juice on the over at 135. Looking at the stats, Oakland has lost 7 games in a row now. Kansas City's won 2. During those times, in the last week, Oakland is only scoring 1.8 runs a game. They are struggling to get dudes across the plate, but they are batting 202, so they slightly get them there, but they can't do anything with it. Kansas City is batting 249 while averaging 3.8 runs a game. Both these teams struggle to score. That's not even a 5 combined average when it comes to runs. So how is this over 8.5 when these two teams are struggling so bad to get dudes across the plate? I don't understand. Another thing to look at, Oakland is striking out a lot. They're averaging 11 strikeouts a game over the last week. They're going up against Singer, who, look at that K to walk ratio. Singer strikeouts might be a play. It might even be some kind of fun little ladder play because he might just go off today. So I see why the Royals are favored. The Royals will definitely go into my money line parlay. I'm going to look at Singer strikeouts, and I think I might actually take the under in this one and get that +110 juice based on how the statistics are laying out. So next up, we got Pittsburgh and Chicago. We got Keller with his 3.93, Italian with his 1.61. Currently, the Cubs are a 125 favorite on the money line, over under 7.5 with some heavy juice on the under at 130. And this is why, because both teams are struggling to hit the ball. Currently, Pittsburgh's batting 236 over the last week, but the Cubs are batting 201. So they're struggling to get the bat on the ball, period. When it comes to runs, Pittsburgh has 4.4 runs a game, Chicago 2.8, little over 7. That's where you get your over-under right there. The Nerfy percent, nothing stands out here. All around this game, there's nothing that stands out side-wise, total-wise, anything-wise. If anything, Italian with that 161 looks pretty nice against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been striking out, but Italian's not a strikeout pitcher. It doesn't make sense. So this one, I'm just going to pass all around and move on to the next game. All right, next game, we got the Angels and the Rangers. I think they just finished playing after their 9,000 inning game from last night, but either way, Soriano's going up with a 3.72 against Lorenzen with his 3.75. Currently, the Rangers are a 155 favorite on the money line, over under 8.5. A little bit of juice on the over. Looking at the stats, some things don't add up because the pitching matchups, they look almost identical. They're pretty straightforward. But on the statistics side, we look over here and we see that the Angels are batting 261. They're doing decent. They're putting the bat on the ball. We like to see that. And they're getting 5.1 runs a game. They're getting dudes across the plate. Great. Texas is struggling. They are batting 190 over the last week. They bottom 5 in the majors right now, and they're only getting 2.5 runs a game. I took the Angels money line 2 days ago. It hit. I took the Angels money line last night. It didn't hit, but we saw, if you watch that game, so many chances it could have happened. They were up so long. It happens in baseball. I'm going to with this setup here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm probably going to take the Angels again, mainly because the statistics tell me to do so. With the pitching matchup being equal, everything else being the same, the fact that the Angels bats are still pretty hot and the Rangers bats are still pretty cold, that tells me I'm taking the hot team. So Angels money line. Next up, we got Colorado and San Francisco. We got Hudson with his 6.13 going up against Hicks with his 2.44 ERA. Currently, Giants minus 200 on the money line. Makes sense. They've been playing pretty great. Colorado, the over under 7.5 with a little bit of juice on the under. In this one, the main thing that stands out is going to be the team scoring. Over the last week, Colorado has scored 5.1 a game, while San Francisco has scored 6.6 runs a game. So to combine, you're almost at 12 runs a game combined between these teams right here. Also, Colorado, they're starting to cool off a little bit, but they're still batting 274 as a team. They're not falling off a cliff. They're still in the top, I think, 6. And San Francisco is now batting 296. They're above them too. So you have two teams. The bats are still on fire. We have a pitcher at 6.13 ERA. Hicks is 2.44. So as long as he gives up a couple runs to Colorado, I think San Francisco can handle the rest. With 7.5 being such a short number, I'm taking the over 7.5 in this game for sure. San Francisco with the better pitcher, I'm going to take them and put them in my money line parlay as well on this one. All right, next up, we got the Reds and the Dodgers. We have Green with a 3.27 against Yamamoto at 3.21. Currently, the Dodgers are 170 on the money line. Over under 8.5. No juice either way on that one. Lately, Cincinnati has lost 2 in a row. Dodgers won 2 in a row in this series. Cincinnati's getting 3.8 runs a game over the last week. Dodgers 4.2 runs a game over the last week. So Cincinnati is batting 246, Dodgers batting 228. Both sides seem equal. Both pitchers are about equal. You can see here the stats are almost the same. Nothing stands out in this one. This whole game is going to be a pass and move on. Next up, we got Detroit and Arizona. We got Manning with a 4.37 against Montgomery with a 4.77. Currently, the Diamondbacks are a 155 money line favorite. Over under 8.5. Little bit of juice on the over. Main stat here that stands out is batting. Detroit is getting 5 runs a game while batting 264 over the last week. Arizona is only getting 3.6 runs a game while batting 218. So Arizona's bats are a little cold compared to Detroit's, who are over the average. So they're a little warmer. That right there makes me lean Detroit as a plus money dog. Over under side 8.5. Nothing stands out on the over under. Pitching matchups are about equal, but Detroit's bats are hotter. I'm going to take Detroit on the money line in this one. Move on to the last game. Sunday night baseball, we have the Padres and the Braves. They didn't get to play yesterday. They got rained out, but we got them today. Again, we have Darvish with his 2.43 against Elder with his 4.79. Over under in this one's 8.5. Heavy juice on the over at 130. Braves are minus 120 on the money line. In this one, both teams, the batting are close to the same. They're both averaging 2.8 runs a game over the last week. San Diego's batting 252. Braves are batting 245. The only thing is Atlanta is striking out a ton. They're averaging 10 strikeouts a game, which means they're swinging at everything. So one of the things I would look at would be probably looking at Darvish's strikeout props. I'm not sure what those are. I haven't really dug into props. I'm still working on my props model, so I might look into that one a little bit. But outside of that, I don't see anything here that stands out. We're looking at 5.6 runs a game average. We might lean the under, but it is Sunday Night Baseball. Crazy things happen when they're the only game on TV. So this one, I'm not going to take a side. I'm not going to take a total. We might look at Darvish K props, but that'll be off video. And that's it. All right, that's it. 15 games, all broken down statistically. All the bets are right there. Drop a subscribe, drop a like. Let me know where I missed something, where I'm wrong, or where you're fading or following. And we'll see you tomorrow.